Part 138. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1380. After searching for more than 100 meters along the street, I still couldn't find the Qian figure. Feeling bored, Xuan lazily threw his schoolbag behind his back, put one hand in his trouser pocket, and went home carelessly. That night he had a dream. In the dream, he had been chasing a white figure, vaguely, hazy, as if very close, and he reached out to grab it, but it was almost out of reach. It was 4 o'clock in the morning when I woke up, and my underwear was cool and wet, sticky and greasy. Xuan frowned, took off his underwear a few times, and threw it into the trash can. Looking at the time, I didn't bother to find clean underwear in the closet, so I wiped a couple of them casually, then lay back on the bed naked, and continued to sleep. The first time this happened, he thought he was wetting the bed. I felt very ashamed at the time. After all, bedwetting is not a glorious thing. Later, the laundry maid told Dad about it, and Dad was very happy, saying that he had grown up. It seemed that he grew up overnight. After that day, his size grew rapidly, his Adam's apple and beard all appeared, and even the hair on his legs turned darker unwillingly. Grow up. What a great word. It carries the ambitions and dreams of a teenager. Just like a young eagle waiting for its full wings, once it grows up, the reward will be the whole sky outside the nest. But the young eagle doesn't know that in the process of learning to fly, it is inevitable that there will be several bumps and bloody injuries. The classroom is quiet and silent, only the sound of chalk scratching across the blackboard. Occasionally, the pages of the book are turned and rustled, which float into the ears and become a kind of hypnotic note. Xuan looked out the window. The sun was warm and the vegetation was verdant. It was a wonderful time of spring. Good for sleeping. After 2 Chinese lessons, Xuan got up and was about to leave. Huang Mao put his shoulders from behind, and Xianbao generally unzipped the jacket by a third, revealing a corner of the magazine cover in his arms. "Brother, this is the new weekly magazine," Huang Mao chuckled, "let's go to see it together." Xuan pushed Huang Mao's slender arm away, and then patted his face lightly. "Take it easy, be careful not to affect your development." After all, he turned around and walked away slowly. Huang Mao was stunned for a while. Seeing Xuan walking away, he asked loudly, "Brother Chuan, where are you going?" "Sleep," Xuan said without turning his head. "There is a river not far from the college. The embankment is a long slope covered with grass. Lying on the grass slope, basking in the sun and blowing the breeze, it is just right for sleeping. It's a pity that I didn't bring a school bag, otherwise it could be used as a pillow cushion." Xuan closed his eyes and lay in the scent of flowers and plants, thinking so. A girl's voice was faintly heard in my ears, "Xiaofen, don't run away." Xuan just found some drowsiness, he was in a daze, he was thinking about what this little fan was, and his face was stabbed with pain. It's like being rolled hard by a prickly pear. At the same time, a furry thing that looked like an animal's tail swept across his face. Xuan jumped up in pain. He covered the burning wound with one hand, and looked for the culprit angrily, only to find that the girl from last time was standing in front of him. A poem from the Chinese class suddenly appeared in my mind. I searched for him thousands of times in the crowd, and suddenly I looked back, but that person where did he come from? "I'm sorry," the girl looked at him nervously, her beautiful eyes were full of worry. "Are you okay? Can I see your wound?" Xuan seemed to have been hit by a goo, and unconsciously put down his hand as she said, revealing the wound. A long scratch stretched from the forehead, through the tip of the eyebrows, to the temples, with bright red blood dripping from the deepest part. "I'm really sorry," she apologized again, and took his hand anxiously and worriedly. "Sit down quickly, I'll help you deal with it." Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HhandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1381. Musician could no longer feel the pain. All attention is on that hand, soft, small. Hold it without any trace, touch it, it feels soft and greasy. He secretly remembered this feeling. The girl didn't notice, so she asked him to sit down, opened her medicine box, and focused on helping him treat the wound. Only then did Musician realize that she was carrying a heavy wooden box. There were gauze, scissors, disinfectant, and some bottles and jars he didn't recognize in the box, and it looked complete. "Are you a medical student?" he asked. The girl shook her head, carefully wiped the blood on his face with cotton gauze, and replied softly, "My family runs a medical clinic, and I brought the box from home. I have never studied medicine." "Oh, you haven't studied medicine, so if you treat me like this, what if you make me serious?" Musician deliberately said her words. The girl smiled slightly. "Don't worry, I'm a nurse at Urine Hospital. Although I can't treat diseases, I can still deal with simple trauma." "Oh, you are a nurse, an angel in white." Musician nodded. "No wonder you always wear white clothes. Last time I saw you, you were also wearing a white skirt." She froze. "When did you see me?" Musician didn't answer, and continued, "Did you know that white clothes are very see-through? Especially in the sun, you can see them very clearly." He lowered his eyes slightly, and gestured with his eyes. "Look, your shoulder straps are light blue, right?" Her fair and pink cheeks immediately blushed, and she stood up shyly and angrily. "Why are you like this? I kindly help you. You helped me because your cat scratched me, so you have to make it up to me." Musician interrupted her, sitting on the grass with a grinning grin. "Hey, you have to be reasonable. I don't blame you. Why are you attacking me so fiercely? Besides, you can't blame me when you see the shoulder straps, you are so close, and your clothes are so see-through. I can't poke my eyes, can I?" She opened her mouth, not knowing how to argue. She stood there blushing, staring at him angrily. Musician pointed to his own face. "Just half of it? You are an angel in white, can you be a little caring? What if my face is disfigured? Are you responsible for not being able to find a wife in the future?" She bit her lip, got angry for a while, and finally came over and continued to help Musician treat the wound. "Disinfect, apply medicine, and apply a thin layer of gauze." Still angry in her heart, she lowered her head to pack her medicine box and muttered, "You have a bad mouth." Musician smiled and teased her again. "Sister Angel, how old are you?" She looked up at him with a playful smile in her eyes. "Why should I tell you? You didn't tell me how old you are." "I'm 18, Musician replied decisively, his face not red and his heart beating. The smile in her eyes was even stronger, and the tone was drawn out. "Oh, so you are 18 years old, then you will call me sister from now on." "Impossible," Musician said, "you must be younger than me." "What did I lie to you about?" she said. "I just had my 20th birthday last month." Musician was annoyed in his heart. He should have said his age a little bit older if he had known earlier. The girl picked up the medicine box and left. Looking at her weak, she didn't expect that she had some strength, and she was not too tired to carry a wooden box. Musician got up and patted the broken grass, and ran after him with his long legs. "Where is Sister Angel going?" "I'm going to find my cat." "Sister Angel, let me help you find it together." She turned her head and stared at him, blushing. "You are so annoying, can you stop calling me Sister Angel?" You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HhandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1382. Musician smiled, but I don't know your name, so I can't call you hello, how impolite. Humph, if you want to coax me into telling you my name, I won't be fooled by you. She ignored Musician, turned her head and walked forward, her black hair slightly fluttered in an arc in mid-air, like a fish's tail raised when it jumped into the water. It was very agile. Musician could vaguely smell the fragrance on his hair. It was very fresh, slightly sweet, like some kind of fruit. He stood where he was, with the corners of his mouth twitching happily, and called her with a smile, "Hey, Sister Angel, let's make friends." The girl ignored her and walked forward without stopping. "Sister Angel, Sister Beauty, baby. Sweetheart." She finally stopped, and turned around angrily. "If you keep yelling like that, I'm really going to get angry." He looked at her innocently. "If you don't call it that, how should you call it?" "My name is Byway, by from by, way from Viako," she said angrily. "Do you remember? Don't bark anymore." Musician smiled, followed her cheekily, walked side by side with her, and asked, "Which way is Wei Cao's way?" "It's Kyangwei's way, Kyangwei, you should know about it, right?" "I know, it looks like a rose flower." "It's different." Byway wanted to explain clearly, but felt that it was meaningless to tell him, so she sighed helplessly. "Oh, forget it, just do whatever you want." She has to hurry to find the cat. This place is neither big nor small, and there is a river next to it. The cat must not be able to cross the river. It may be hiding in some grass or tree now. Byway called the cat's name as she walked. Musician followed her unhurriedly, a few steps away, with lazy virtue. A section of the embankment was about to be finished, but there was still no sign of the cat. Byway became more and more anxious. If the cat ran away from the embankment, it would be almost impossible to find it. "Do you want me to help you find it?" Musician asked her slowly from behind. Byway had a bad impression of him, and felt that he must be teasing herself again, so she asked suspiciously, "What can you do?" "It's easy," Musician said with a smile. "Bring my two big wolf dogs here, and I'm sure I'll get the cat back for you in a while, but I don't guarantee life or death." Byway. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in again. So angry that even taking a deep breath didn't help, she turned and walked away, refusing to see the man again. "Hey! What's wrong with you?" Musician suppressed a smile and chased after him. "Why are you so unreasonable, girl? I kindly gave you an idea, but you gave me a face. If you don't accept my idea, you can why refuse, why turn your face away and leave? The temper is too big." Byway resolutely ignored him and kept walking forward. "Okay, can you count me as wrong? Byway? Byway? Rose flower? Sister Rose? Sweetheart? I told you that my name is Byway." She couldn't help but stop. "No barking." "Then I called you Byway, but you ignored me." Seeing that she was about to leave again, Musician quickly grabbed her arm. "Don't go, listen, a cat is meowing. You can play tricks on people, I don't believe you." Byway broke away from him with a straight face. Musician said, "I didn't lie to you. If you don't believe me, listen, there are really cats meowing." Byway frowned, and looked around. The grove was lush, and she seemed to really hear a cat meowing. She was shocked, and soon remembered the bad guy behind her, and turned around vigilantly, staring at Musician. Musician asked with a smile, "Look at what I'm doing." "Did you meow like a cat just now?" Byway asked him. Musician laughed. "Why are you so funny? I can't meow cats, but I can barely learn how to bark dogs. Can you listen? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1383. Byway's eyes widened, and she was about to get angry again. Mu Zixuan quickly took her hand and said, "Don't make a sound, listen carefully. Is it meowing like me?" Bai Wei blushed and wanted to pull her hand back, but she was not as strong as him. Mu Zixuan grabbed her hand and pressed it tightly on his lips. The hand was firmly pressed, and the outline of the lips could be vaguely felt in the palm of the hand. The warm breath sprayed on her hand, itching and hot, and she was so ashamed. Unable to break free, she could only bite her lip in embarrassment and stare at him. He blinked at her provocatively, his brows trembled, his weird and funny expression made people angry but couldn't help but want to laugh. What a bummer. Bai Wei blushed and turned her head, not looking at him. Faintly, a thin cat meow came, and Bai Wei immediately held her breath. She looked in the direction of the sound, waited for a few seconds, and heard the familiar meow again. Only then did Mu Zixuan let go of her hand, and said, "Is this the reply? I didn't move my lips just now, did I?" "You're boring." Bai Wei withdrew her hand in embarrassment, and walked quickly towards the direction where the cat was meowing. Mu Zixuan looked at her flustered back, and lightly touched his lips. The soft touch of the girl's palm was still there, and there was still a little fragrance. He couldn't help showing a smug smile on his face, raised his head and squinted his eyes to see the dazzling sunlight overflowing among the bright green branches and leaves, took a deep breath, and then let it out, feeling extremely refreshed. This spring is really good. A man and a woman stand under a tree, you look at me, I look at you, silent. Although they didn't speak, their expressions were very different. Mu Zixuan leaned against the tree trunk, looking lazy and leisurely. And Bai Wei bit her lip, looking at Mu Zixuan anxiously and aggrieved. "That, can you?" After holding back for a long time, Bai Wei finally couldn't help but said, "Can you help me and save Xiaofen?" The white cat climbed up the tree, but couldn't get down for some reason, and was meowing helplessly on the tree. "Yes," Mu Zixuan readily agreed, "you promise me one condition, and I will help you." Bai Wei bit her lower lip and looked at him angrily. Probably because she didn't believe in Mu Zixuan's character and believed that he would put forward excessive conditions, Bai Wei finally gave up asking him for help. She looked up anxiously, and shouted again, "Xiaofen, Xiaofen. Don't be afraid, come down quickly." The cat curled up on the treetop and shivered. Bai Wei thought for a while, put her medicine box under the tree, and then stepped on it, feeling that she was a little taller, but she still had no idea how to climb up next. The cat's cry was soft and pitiful, with whimpers, as if crying. Bai Wei bit her lip, feeling that she was about to cry too. Feeling sad and wronged, she got down from the medicine box, crouched down with her head bowed and her knees hugged, and said nothing. "Bai Wei," Mu Zixuan leaned over and squatted beside her. "Bai Wei, you aren't crying, are you?" Bai Wei ignored him. Mu Zixuan asked, "Are you really crying? Say something, Bai Wei." "Bai Wei." Bai Wei buried her head low, turned her body sideways, and still ignored him. "Bai Wei, Miss Bai. Miss Wei, little baby. Sweetheart. I told you not to bark." "Don't bark." Bai Wei raised her head unbearably, and shouted at Mu Zixuan, "You are too much. You are too bad." Mu Zixuan stared at her in a daze, and whispered, "I didn't cry, but your eyes are red." Bai Wei bit her lip, not wanting others to see her distressed appearance. She buried her head down again, hugging her knees and ignoring others. Mu Zixuan looked at her quietly. After a moment of silence, he said, "I think you did it on purpose. You had to force me to call you sweetheart before you would talk to me. Women's scheming is really scary. You." Bai Wei was about to be pissed off by him. She didn't even know how to scold her. "You are shameless." "Okay, save yourself some effort if you don't know how to swear." Mu Zixuan moved his shoulders and neck a few times, and walked slowly under the tree. "Isn't it just climbing a tree? Just wait." Although I feel that the number of people watching has decreased, but I like this plot very much for no reason. Maybe I miss the 80s and 90s, well, I will finish writing seriously. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1384. To be honest, Musician hasn't climbed a tree since he was 10 years old. He matured earlier than children of the same age, and felt that climbing a tree was very humiliating, so he abandoned it. But now standing under the tree, Musician suddenly realized that if he couldn't climb up, he would really lose face. Fortunately, he performed supernormally today. Although he almost fell down a few times, he gritted his teeth and tried his best not to lose face in front of his sweetheart. He finally climbed up and saved the cat. When he took the cat into his hand, he felt something was wrong. This cat is too light, it is full of bones to the touch, but the fur on its body is well groomed, clean and fluffy. Musician put the cat into his arms, hunched his back, and carefully descended the tree. There seems to be something wrong with your cat. He returned the cat to Baiwei, and kindly reminded her, look, if there is something wrong. Baiwei hugged the white cat in her arms, gently stroked the white cat, lowered her eyes and said in a low voice, it's sick and can't eat, every time I want to give it medicine, it will run away, and it's the same today. It's no wonder if it doesn't run away. How can a cat take medicine obediently? Musician said, you have to be tough on it, grab it firmly, and pour the medicine into it. Baiwei raised her eyes to look at him, moved her lips, said nothing, and lowered her lips again, silently following the white cat's fur. Musician thought for a moment, then smiled and said, is there no one to help you? Hold it with 2 hands, and you can't feed it? It's so pitiful. My family is busy. Baiwei said in a low voice, and it may not be cured. At that time, there were no pet hospitals, and people were not interested in taking their pets to see a doctor. Pigs, horses, cattle, and sheep are sick, which involves economic benefits, and a veterinarian will be invited to look at them, but if it is a cat or dog at home, they mostly rely on them to carry them. Musician said, I'm disfigured, and I risked my life to climb the tree. I paid such a high price, how can I watch it die? Come on, I'll grab it, and you quickly feed it medicine. After speaking, regardless of the cat's wishes, he directly lifted the cat up and pressed his limbs tightly. Baiwei stared at him blankly, unable to react for a while. Hurry up, he urged, aren't you afraid that I'll press it for too long and kill it? Baiwei's face suddenly turned ugly. She opened the medicine box to take the medicine, and muttered softly, smelly mouth. Musician smiled, you have never kissed my mouth, how do you know if my mouth stinks or not? Baiwei. She shouldn't be talking to this kind of person. Always be taken advantage of. After a lot of hard work, the medicine was finally fed in. The cat didn't cooperate very much, and there was a wheezing sound in its throat, and it wanted to spit it out, but it was pressed hard. In the end, it probably had no strength and stopped struggling. Baiwei hugged the cat, walked slowly to the grassy slope, found a place to sit down, and rested while stroking the cat's fur to calm the cat's emotions. After looking for a cat for a long time, and going up and down the tree, Musician was also tired, so he lay down beside her, with his arms behind his head, looking very relaxed. Xiaofen is good, Xiaofen is not afraid, after taking the medicine, she will get better soon. She murmured softly, very gently. Musician opened his eyelids, looked at her profile, and listened to her voice, with an expression of enjoyment. Why is your cat called Xiaofen? He chatted with her casually, I think it should be called Xiaobai, it is all white, and I don't see where it is pink. Here Baiwei turned around, hugged the cat closer, and pointed to the white cat's tender pink nose, look, it's pink. Musician. Baiwei gently opened the cat's mouth again, revealing a small part of the cat's tongue, it's also pink here. Musician's expression seemed to say, Are you kidding me? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1385. It was rare to win a round, and Bai Wei smiled on her face, a little bit proud. She gently stroked the cat's head and said, "It's not just because of this. Our family is used to naming it with traditional Chinese medicine. Xiaofen is a traditional Chinese medicine. Gluten is made from wheat bran, and the starch from the starch is called Xiaofen. To invigorate the middle and nourish qi, if you have malignant sores or scalds on your body, use vinegar to make the powder into a paste, steam it, and apply it on the sores, it will be very effective." Mu Zixuan said, "Then Bai Wei is also a kind of traditional Chinese medicine." "Of course. What can Bai Wei cure? There is a record in key medicines and prescriptions, clearing deficiency fire and removing blood heat." Mu Zixuan smiled, "It's just right for my illness." Bai Wei was slightly stunned, and looked at him. "Are you sick?" Mu Zixuan. How could this girl choke him to death with a single word? Mu Zixuan coughed awkwardly, and changed the subject. "It's interesting to choose a name like this. Who else in your family uses Chinese medicine names?" A lot. Bai Wei listed to him earnestly. "For example, my father's name is Bai Linju, and Linju is gentian grass, and my little aunt's name is Bai Suxin, and Suxin is a small white flower that can be used to treat stomach pain and hepatitis." Superior. Bai Suxin is your little aunt. Mu Zixuan remembered that woman. Every evening and dusk, she would appear on the street behind the school on time to clear away the medicine residue. There is no way, the smell of traditional Chinese medicine is always unpleasant, so walk a few more steps and throw the medicine residues to the nearby garbage dump where there are no residents. Bai Wei was surprised. "You know my little aunt?" "I don't know her, but I've heard others mention that she is beautiful," Mu Zixuan replied. "Of course my little aunt is beautiful." Bai Wei and Yuranjian smiled happily. It's just that the smile didn't last too long, and slowly faded away. She lowered her eyes and sighed softly, with a sad tone. "My little aunt is going to marry soon, and she will be married far away. It may be difficult for me to see her again." "What's so scary about Yuan? Go see her when you want to see her." Mu Zixuan didn't think so. Bai Wei glared at him. "It's not as easy as you said, it takes several days to take the train." Mu Zixuan smiled, "So it's because you're lazy." Bai Wei didn't look at him, and replied sullenly, "You don't understand anything at all." "I understand, you are a young girl. If no one brings you, it is inconvenient to go out by yourself, isn't it?" Mu Zixuan said slowly. "Then you can still make a phone call. Believe it or not, every household will install it in the future. Phone, and Jingling City is already building an airport, and there will definitely be an airport in Xinjiang in the future, so you can fly wherever you want." Bai Wei couldn't laugh or cry. "You think it's beautiful? It's not called good thinking, it's called forward-looking." Mu Zixuan smiled confidently. "The times are constantly improving, and we have to look at things from the perspective of development." Bai Wei felt that he was being glib again, so she smiled indifferently. Hugging the cat in silence for a while, recalling Mu Zixuan's words over and over again, somehow touched, she nodded, "You're right, everything will get better and better." The sun in the distance has already slanted to the west, and the sunset glow in the sky is reflected in the river water, just like the river water has been poured with thick and colorful paint, flowing endlessly. Bai Wei stood up holding the cat and said goodbye to Mu Zixuan. She should go back. "I'm leaving now." Mu Zixuan sat up with his arms propped up, squinting at her. "I saved your cat, don't you plan to repay me?" Bai Wei hesitated for a while, nodded, and said seriously, "Well, if you have any requests, just tell me. As long as I can help, I will definitely try my best to help you. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Liao. Chapter 1386. Musician didn't speak, but looked at her with a faint smile. It is a frivolous smile, a joking smile, a cheerful smile, and a malicious smile. Bai Wei was so nervous being stared at by him, she pursed her lips, and her cheeks blushed unknowingly. The smile on Musician's face deepened. He stood up suddenly, Bai Weishan flinched, and took half a step back. Musician, 15 years old, was already 1.76 meters tall. Standing in front of Bai Wei, he was half a head taller than her. The condescending view makes it easier to appreciate the girl's shyness. Why are you blushing? Musician stared at her with great interest. You don't think I will make unreasonable demands? For example, let you kiss me. Bai Wei blushed. What nonsense are you talking about? You have a dirty mind. My thoughts are dirty, Musician teased her. Can you be reasonable? It's obvious that you were the first to think wrongly, so which of the two of us has dirty thoughts? I didn't. Bai Wei was in a hurry, picked up the cat and ran away in shame and anger, like a hopping white rabbit, panicked. Musician didn't chase after her, but stood where she was, smiling and admiring her leaving back. After laughing for a while, his expression gradually froze. He suddenly clenched his fist and smashed it hard in the air. Regretted, I forgot to tell her what my name is. What a stupid mistake. After tossing around all afternoon, I actually forgot to declare my family name. Fail. However, it can be remedied. He knew that she was from the Beijia Medical Center and that she was a nurse at Yoran Hospital. That was enough. As long as we have the heart, we will always meet again. Mew's house was lined with green trees, and Mr. Mew, who was over 50 years old, was playing chess with the butler in the garden. Mr. Mew is worth mentioning. When he was young, he was well known in the Qingjiang business district, and he dared to do things and dared to break through. Unfortunately, his overindulgent life buried hidden dangers, and his body was hollowed out by cigarettes, alcohol, and women. After middle age, his health has been deteriorating, and now Master Mew can only be regarded as struggling to support him. He has two sons. The eldest son, Mew Rongxian, was born to his ex-wife who died of illness. He is in his 30s and still has no children. Men with this kind of disease will be looked down upon by others. Even Master Mew, who is a father, feels that the eldest son lacks manliness because of this. Master Mew's second wife gave birth to his second son, Musician, who was his most important child. He looked the most like him, and was smart. Most importantly, Musician was born with an arrogance. Free and unrestrained arrogance. Master Mew especially appreciates this kind of madness. You can vaguely see his youthful demeanor, wanton and bold, otherwise what is he young and frivolous? When Musician came back, he passed by the garden and saw two people playing chess, so he took a closer look. Uncle Li is amazing, he's about to become a general. The butler, Li Bo, smiled and said, Young master, you are a real gentleman who watches chess without speaking. It's boring to be a gentleman, but it's not too much to be a hero. Musician joked in a good mood. Besides, I want to talk about filial piety. How can I just leave my father alone? Master Mew glanced at him with a faint smile. If you want to be really filial, you should study hard. Today your teacher called home and said that you didn't go to class all afternoon. What's going on? It's math class in the afternoon. The old man's lectures are very long-winded and his accent is very strong. I'm afraid I will hurt my brain after listening to it for a long time, Musician said indifferently. Anyway, I know all the questions, so I will go to rest my brain in the afternoon. After finishing speaking, he asked Master Mew, Father, why don't you let me skip another level? The current class sounds really boring. No, the school has school rules, you can't dance anymore. Don't be too proud, just consolidate the foundation. Musician twitched the corner of his mouth lightly, and let out a lazy "oh." Master Mew asked again, how did you get the injury on your face? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mew Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1387. Oh, I accidentally scraped off a branch, and the medicine has already been applied, Musician said casually. Be more careful in the future. Got it, I'm going back to my room first. Musician waved his hands, and entered the room with his hands in his trouser pockets. The butler glanced at his back, smiled and said to Master Mew, Master seems to be in a good mood today. Master Mew nodded slightly, well, it seems that there are more smiling faces than usual. The old housekeeper was very emotional, young master has grown up, and he looks exactly like you when you were young, not only in appearance, but also in demeanor. Oh, Master Mew said with a smile, what kind of demeanor? Is it a demeanor? If you want to say that, let it be. The housekeeper also smiled. For a father who is suffering from serious illness, there is nothing more gratifying than watching his children grow up and become promising. Musician skipped a grade, he was the youngest among a group of boys in the class, but everyone obeyed him. Some people are born with a leadership temperament, no matter where they are placed, they are the ones who take the lead, not to mention that they have good grades, courage, fight fiercely, and their family is rich. Well, very rich. After school, Musician went home and changed his clothes. With a handful of tickets in his pocket, he began to think about how to pursue Bai Wei. Buying a bouquet of red roses? She is so shy, she may not be willing to accept it. It's popular to give music tapes recently, but he doesn't know whose song she likes to listen to, and doesn't know if she has a tape recorder at home. He thought about it all the way, and when he was about to reach the traditional Chinese medicine museum, he still had no idea what to buy. God seemed to intentionally create opportunities for him. As soon as he turned the intersection, he saw Bai Wei in front of him rushing towards him, almost crashing into his arms. But no. Bai Wei stopped in time. Musician felt it was a pity, why are you in such a panic, where are you going? Xiao Xiaofen is gone, I'll look for it. Bai Wei panted back. Musician frowned upon hearing this, where did you find it? Bai Wei shook her head, breathed heavily, and spoke intermittently, I don't know, I can only look around first. It's getting dark, so how can you find the way? Musician said, go to the river bank first, and I'll ask some people to help you find it. Bai Wei hurriedly said, thank you. Okay, hurry up. Musician waved his hand impatiently, you can thank me when you find it. Bai Wei nodded, hurriedly trotted away in the direction of the river embankment. Musician went to the video room, pulled 7 or 8 boys out of it, and ordered them to find the cat. Huang Mao almost wailed, brother, we are watching the true colors of heroes too. Leslie Chung was shot, the critical moment of the plot. You want us to go to the street to find kittens? Stop talking nonsense, go find it quickly, look around the streets, alleys, walls, and corners, and places where garbage is piled up. Musician said incredulously, those who don't go will be beaten, and those who go will pass the exam next week. The boys all dispersed with a bang. Find it quickly, find it quickly. You go over there, Datu, come with me to this alley to have a look. There are always a few stray cats in the backyard of Grandma Liu's house, maybe there. Musician glanced at the sky, the sun was setting and the dusk would not last long. If he could not find it before dark, he might not be able to find it again. Other cats might go home on their own, but that white cat was so skinny that it was only bones, sick, and hadn't eaten for a long time, so it would be dead if it ran away from home. After much deliberation, Mu Zixuan was inexplicably irritable. Later, his premonition came true. When it was almost dark, Huang Mao and a few boys found the cat in a dead end, and it was already dead. Everyone gathered around the cat, not knowing what to do for a while. Mu Zixuan was also worried. "Do you want to take a dead cat to Baiwei?" At this time, I heard Data shouting from a distance, "I found it! I found the cat! The big head is holding a white cat, running here happily." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1388. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Huang Mao wiped off his sweat. "It turned out to be this one. I almost thought my work was for nothing." Mu Zixuan picked up the cat in Data's arms. It was quite thin, but he could tell it was not by weighing it. He really couldn't tell the difference just by looking at the appearance. All white cats in the world looked the same to him. "Where did you find it?" Mu Zixuan asked. "The backyard of Grandma Liu's house," the big head replied. Huang Mao asked Datu, "Did you catch Grandma Liu's cat?" "I don't know, there are more than a dozen cats in the backyard, who can tell which one is hers?" Mu Zixuan frowned, and said lightly, "Just this one. It's better than a dead cat, lest she cry and let him look at her and feel bad." In order to prevent Baiwei from seeing the difference, Mu Zixuan rubbed a few handfuls of peat ash on the cat, making it dingy and dirty, and the fur was messed up. He took the cat to Baiwei, who only took one look, shook her head and said, "This is not Xiaofen." "You didn't even look carefully," Mu Zixuan said, "although it's dirty and ugly, it's not unrecognizable." Baiwei still shook her head, "It's really not, Xiaofen is a female cat, this one is just a male cat." Mu Zixuan. After being silent for a while, he still passed the cat over. "Anyway, if you lose it, you can raise this cat as a fan, it doesn't make any difference." Baiwei pursed her lips, her eyes showed frustration and loss. "It's different, this cat doesn't know my mother." Mu Zixuan was slightly stunned, a little puzzled. "Xiaofen is my mother's cat," Baiwei whispered to him. "My mother got a disease and no one can remember her anymore. She doesn't remember my father or me, only Xiaofen jumped to when she rubs against her legs, she will react a little, remembering who she is, remembering that she raised a cat." Baiwei closed her eyes, wondering if it was because she was sad. Her voice became weaker and weaker. "The only thing my mother remembers is her cat, and now the cat is gone, the cat is gone, it means that everything is gone." Mu Zixuan looked at Baiwei, and for a moment, he looked back at the cat in his hand. "I probably felt that there was no need to persist anymore, so I threw it away lightly, and the cat landed on all fours, and immediately ran away quickly." "Don't worry, I'm fine." Baiwei twitched the corners of her mouth and forced a smile. "My mother said before that cats are spiritual. When they realize that their lives are coming to an end, they will leave quietly, willing to die in front of the master and make the master sad." Mu Zixuan was not good at comforting others, and after much deliberation, he didn't know what to say. He pretended to be relaxed and said, "Maybe it's not dead, but it's just tired of living in your house. The smell of medicine is everywhere, and it has to be fed medicine every day. I can't bear it, so I ran to wander. Now the dog outside, there are too many stray cats, and they all ran away from home, so I may not know which one is Xiaofen." Baiwei smiled faintly. "Yeah, although the stray cats are strays, they also had homes before. I will try my best to take care of them in the future, so I will treat them as taking care of Xiaofen." Mu Zixuan carefully studied her expression. My eyes aren't red, I shouldn't be crying anymore. Anyway, thank you very much today," she said with a smile. "Although you have a bit of a nasty mouth, you still have a good heart." Mu Zixuan said, it's the same with you. Although you're a bit dazed, your eyesight is pretty good. Bai Wei smiled at the corner of her mouth, didn't say anything more, waved goodbye to him, and walked towards home. Mu Zixuan stayed where he was, hesitating for a while. Seeing her like that, although she didn't cry, she was still depressed, so now, what should he do? Should I ask her out while the iron is hot, or wait for her to come out of her grief before making any plans? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1389. Mu Zixuan didn't go to Bai Wei immediately. After all, when you are young, you will inevitably hesitate after experiencing the first love. I went to see her secretly a few times, thinking that if the time is right, I can talk to her, but it's a pity that God didn't continue to favor him. Every time, Bai Wei was either accompanied by elders or colleagues. When she was at home, she stayed behind closed doors, and when she was in the hospital, she was so busy that she didn't even touch the ground. Mu Zixuan couldn't find any chance to get close. After 6 or 7 days like this, Mu Zixuan was called by Huang Mao and the others to watch the film in the video hall. In fact, he has all these projection equipment at home, and they are more advanced, imported from overseas, and he can watch whatever he wants, so he came here today just to join in the fun. The title of the film is Shuangyan in the Golden Ping, and you can tell what the content is from the name, but there was a literary saying at that time, it was called Fenjia film. A group of boys huddled together in a small room, and when they saw the highlights, they forgot to spit out the melon seeds in their mouths. The air is filled with the smell of smoke, sweat, and damp mustiness. They are strangely mixed together. They are extremely unpleasant, but they are strangely integrated with the environment. Huang Mao kicked the big head sitting in front. Put on your shoes, it stinks to death. My feet don't stink, who farted? Day, who farted? Is there any virtue? The house began to swear, talk to each other, and make low-level and silly jokes. Mu Zixuan lazily walked out, wanting to change the air. When he was about to walk to the door, he heard a familiar voice. Let's go, can we go to the cinema? I always feel that this place is not very good. It's Bai Wei. Mu Zixuan became energetic, and immediately leaned against the wall, listening carefully to the voices outside. There are fixed movies in the movie theater, and if this movie is not shown, I won't be able to watch it when I go, another girl said. Bai Wei looked perplexed, and resisted going to the video room, but, I still don't feel good, look at this, these titles, are too. In order to attract business, video halls usually set up a board outside with eye-catching film titles written all over it. The girl also felt embarrassed, but the desire to watch the movie overcame everything, and persuaded Bai Wei, others watch other people's movies, we watch ours, what are you afraid of? Besides, there are private rooms inside, so they don't interfere with each other. Let's go, you can stay with me, let's see it once. Mu Zixuan thought for a while, then quickly ran back to the room, pulled up the yellow hair who was exercising his words, pulled him to the wall, and asked, where's Uncle Fat? Ah! Uncle Fat is going to play mahjong. Huang Mao stared at him blankly, he asked me to look after the shop for a while, what's wrong? Mu Zixuan said, take off your clothes. What? Huang Mao was dumbfounded. Before he could react, he saw that Mu Zixuan had already taken off his school uniform jacket 2 or 3 times. After Mu Zixuan took off his shirt, seeing that Huang Mao was still in a daze, he said impatiently, take it off. No, brother Chuan, I. Huang Mao panicked, wondering what's going on. Brother Chuan, even if he sees his anger in a third-grade movie, he can't ask him to vent it. Mu Zixuan waited impatiently, directly, and roughly pushed him against the wall, and took off Huang Mao's rather trendy denim jacket. Huang Mao's face was pressed against the wall and he didn't dare to move. He was frightened by Mu Zixuan's ferocity, and his face was completely white. After all, he was only 16 years old. Where did such a thing happen to him? Getting beaten up by Mu Zixuan before was not so scary. Brother Chuan, you lighten up. Huang Mao choked up, I haven't tasted a woman yet, I'm still young. After being sad for a while, there was no movement. Huang Mao wiped away his tears and turned around, only to find that there was no one behind him. Huang Mao, why are you taking off your pants? Ha ha ha, you want to masturbate, the big head laughed when he saw his bare butt. Huang Mao lifted his trousers and scolded, can't I take off my trousers and fart?